How do you run an effective meeting? We've all been in those meetings that we know are not effective. I can't tell you how many meetings I've been in where everything just goes around in circles. I'm not even sure why we're here, what we're talking about, and we walk out and nothing has been accomplished. That is just so frustrating. We've all been in those kind of meetings. So I have facilitated countless meetings in my life. And in fact, that is what I do now, is facilitate strategic conversations for groups. And I have learned many things over the years in what helps make an effective meeting. I've seen great facilitators run awesome meetings, learn a ton, led terrible meetings myself. And so today I want to share with you some best practices and tips on how to run an effective meeting. I've also created a template that you can download and use for yourself. And so here's some major components and what might be helpful if you are running your own meeting. First of all, define the purpose. Why are you meeting? And sometimes I know because everyone's together, it's just easier to do a lot of things, but there should be one primary purpose for that meeting. What's the main thing that you want to accomplish by the end of the time together? And then what's your secondary thing if you have more than one thing? But define it up front so everybody knows why you're meeting and what you're trying to accomplish. The second one is who needs to be there. We automatically think, oh, if a person has a certain position, they should be at that meeting, and maybe they should. But sometimes it's also good to have other people there who may be involved in the work. So maybe it's somebody who may not have the position, so to say, but they know the best about what you're talking about. It's great to invite them to the table. Maybe even somebody who influences others, because once the decision is made, somehow it's got to get conveyed and people have to be on board. So maybe you need someone like that as well. And then it would be great if there's somebody who is also impacted by the decision, because they can give feedback on what will happen if that decision is made. Now, you don't need to have all these people there, but it's great to consider who is actually beneficial to be part of this conversation. The next thing is where. Where are you going to have your meeting? Is it a physical location? Is it online? Make sure it's clear what the format of this meeting is. And then have a when. When does this meeting start? And very important, when does it end? Because people hate being in meetings when they have no idea how long it's going to take. After that is prep. What do people need to do in advance to prepare for this meeting? Because you don't want people just showing up unprepared. They might just spout out things that aren't helpful. And this is also great for introverts, where you give them questions in advance to think about. Because introverts like to internally process. I have had many introvert friends say, wow, that's so helpful to get those questions in advance so that I can start thinking through these things and be ready when it's time to discuss. Extroverts, they love being in the moment. Many of the extroverts I know, they just think things on the fly, their verbal processes. It's a lot easier for them, but introverts really appreciate that. You might also send them something to read. Are there reports that they have to review, documents they should look over, a video that they need to watch? Something like that so that they are ready for the topic that you want to discuss. After that, it's time for you to put together your agenda and the details on that. And so there's a particular structure to follow. You want to hit all these pieces. First, state the outcome. What are you trying to achieve? There's a reason everybody is spending their valuable time together. You want them to feel like it's worth it. So show them what the outcome is. And in fact, it's really helpful at the beginning of your meeting to explicitly state that so that it's very evident to people what you're all trying to accomplish together. Then next is the roles. And this is where you define what is the role of this group or individuals in this decision making. Who's going to be making the actual decision? Is it the people at this meeting? Or are they giving input or feedback on that? I created a model called the daring tree, which shows the level of decision making and authority. I'll link to that in the notes below. You can take a look. But having clarity about what their role is helps people to understand and not get frustrated. What? I thought you wanted a decision. What do you mean this is just we're giving some ideas and feedback? So be clear about what the role of this group is. Then you start listing out your topics. What's a topic? What's the outcome that you want as a result of having the topic? Maybe even what the process is to discuss this. And then very important, what is the next step that should line up with the outcome that you are trying to achieve so that people know what needs to be done next. And in fact, that's how you want to end your meeting. You want to end it with what's next. Who's going to do what by when? And then schedule your next meeting if you need a follow-up meeting. So those are just a few tips on how to run an effective meeting. And for a free meeting template, go ahead and hit the link below. And I hope that this helps you run more effective meetings, because when you run effective meetings, your team gets better.